Would the city clerk please take the roll?
Pech. Herman.
Here.
Allison Osby.
Here.
Palmieri.
Here.
Mugrower.
Here.
Krause.
Here.
Cummings.
Here.
Present 6.
Would you all stand, please, while the Deputy Mayor Palmieri leads us in invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance?
We ask for guidance tonight as we begin this meeting. May all those who participate in our discussions and our decisions reflect the values that we cherish in this great city. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Come down, I have a certificate for each of you, so you're going to have to stand up again and come over here. And then I'll have you this time face into that corner. And I'll start with you. It's a lot of words so I can kind of get in here. I'm going to ask you your name, your age, where do you go to school, and your favorite subject. We'll start with you.
I'm Will. I go to Traeger, and my favorite subject is reading, and I also like science.
Okay, good. Pass it down to you.
My name is Allison. I go to Carl Traeger Middle. I'm in 6th grade, and my favorite subject's math.
Okay. Math. We always like to point math students out to our finance director as potential employees. So, certificate for you. And we did miss certificates for two of you, so we'll mail those to the school tomorrow. And your name?
Kylie Ziegler. I am in 5th grade, and I go to Carl Traeger. My favorite subject is math.
Another man. There we go.
One more, Trina.
I'm Gracie Jean Zahner. I go to Carl Traeger Middle, and my favorite subject is math.
Okay, great. And a certificate for you. Well, we have 3 math students, so good job. Now, you guys can stay and watch the council meeting or go home and study. So it's up to you and Mom and Dad. Thank you. First on our agenda this evening is citizen statements to council. Pam, has anyone signed up to address the council?
No one is registered.
Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda items. These are items of a routine administrative nature that are voted on by the council in a single roll call vote. Staff recommends approval of all items. Any member of the public or common council may request that an item be removed from the consent agenda for discussion. Pam?
No one is registered.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the council for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Councilmember Mugerauer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick clarification, and City Clerk Ubrig already is aware of it. 19-11, the Battle on Bago, the event dates is actually the 21st through 23rd. It's noted on their application. It's just a clerical thing that she'll correct.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Palmieri.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question. Mr. Robbie, on Resolution 1901, with the Hazel Street reconstruction, will there be sidewalks installed on the east side of the street as well, where there are none currently?
We're still working with Parks Director Maurer to see if we can determine some funding to either go with a recreation trail or sidewalks on the east side. At this point, the project as presented in the capital improvement program did not include anything on the east side, so we are working to try to identify some funding to do either a sidewalk or a trail on that east side.
And that would extend from Washington Street to Irving?
No, it would be through the park, which starts at Merritt and heads up to Irving. Washington to Merritt, okay. I believe there is sidewalk on both sides already.
Oh, that's right, of course. Okay,
so
thanks.
we are working with them to try to identify some funding to try to move forward with that.
Thank you.
Our goal is that by the time council awards the bid, we'll have that answer for you.
If there are no further questions from council, would you please take the roll?
Herman.
Aye.
Ellison Osby.
Aye.
Palmieri.
Aye.
Mugrower.
Aye.
Krause.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Carried 6.
There were no items removed from the consent agenda, so we'll move on to new ordinances, none of which will be acted on this evening. The first is ordinance 19-21, modify parking regulations on South Park Avenue, Court Street, and North Main Street. Pam, did anyone want to speak to this?
No one is registered.
Thank you. Ordinance 19-22, approve parking regulation updates on Otter and Washington Avenue. Pam?
No one is registered.
Ordinance 19-23, approve official mapping for widening of North Kaler Street, right-of-way north of Oshkosh Avenue, in parentheses, Plan Commission recommends approval. Pam?
No one is registered.
Next, we have ordinance 19-24, approve a zone change from single-family 9 district, in parentheses, SR-9, and institutional district, in parentheses I, to institutional district with planned development overlay, in parentheses IPD, close parentheses, at 575 Monroe Street, 581 Monroe Street, and 532 Broad Street. Plan Commission recommends approval. Pam?
No one is registered.
Just one comment, that is a property adjacent to the Boys and Girls Club on Monroe Street. Ordinance 19-25, amend Division 6 residential rental contract registration and inspection program of Chapter 16 Housing Code, in parentheses, Rental Housing Advisory Board recommends approval. Pam?
No one is registered.
Ordinance 19-26, amend Section 30-74 Table of Land Uses and 30-78 Commercial Land Uses of Chapter 30 Zoning Ordinance to establish short-term rentals. Parentheses, Plan Commission recommends approval.
William Welk, 830 Nicolay Avenue.
Well, just to this podium, please.
Well, first of all, I'm a homeowner in the city, but I don't rent my house out for EAA or any other special event. I do operate a lodging reservation service, and we have a website, and we've been doing it for 15 years. And I only do it for the EAA. Basically, I'm retired, and it's kind of a hobby for me. So the ordinance that they're proposing, that the city follow the guidelines of the state, and that is to have inspections and extra things put on a homeowner who rents their homes for 10 nights or more during a year. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with how many nights people stay that are coming to the EAA, especially exhibitors, and that's the bulk of the people who are renting homes. In many cases, they'll be renting anywhere from 7 to 9 to 10, and I've rented homes already for 16 nights and longer. And these are exhibitors that come in from, usually from other countries. One example is from Canada, where they actually truck their airplane, which is a huge airplane, here from Canada, on about 5 or 6 semi-trucks, and they have 3 or 4 vehicles that bring down the workers that have to reassemble that aircraft here, and then after the show is over with, they have to take it apart and put it back on the trucks and go back to Canada again. Well, naturally, they can't do that in 1 week or even 10 nights. So in a case like that, they would have to be paying extra price because the homeowner, if they're hit with what's being proposed, is going to have to charge more for the room rent. Or these people would have to find a place outside the city limits, which is what we could very easily do for them. Because I know in talking to homeowners, since I found out about this proposal, homeowners are not wanting to have to go through this. They're going to do everything they can avoid to have inspections of their home. Not that their homes aren't safe for people to stay in. You know, my experience in 15 years is that 99% or better of the people who rent the homes here in town, these exhibitors and people who are airline fanatics, they're very highly respected people. Most of them are wealthy, and they take care of the homes that they're in. They're usually not party people. You know, they're at the show for 12 hours a day. They come back and have something to eat, or they go to a restaurant, have something to eat, they go to bed, get up early, shower, and go back out to the show again. They bring a ton of money into the city. It's probably the largest event in the state. I'm not sure about that, but you know, it's a very big asset to the city of Oshkosh. So I'm proposing that rather than adopting the 10-night status, that we go up to 16. That would eliminate most of the problems. The ideal number would be 20, but I think 16 is a favorable one. So that's what I'm asking you to do, is if you just change the number from 10 to 16, it would eliminate a lot of problems for the homeowners and maybe for the planning commission too, I'm not sure. But so I'm speaking for them. They didn't hire me to do this or anything. I just think it's the right thing to do. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions of me? All right, good, thanks.
Thank you. Next is ordinance 19-27, creates section 8-1.2 short-term rentals of the municipal code. Pam?
No one is registered.
Steve?
Go ahead.
Ordinance 19-28, amend room tax ordinance. Pam?
No one is registered.
Councilmember Herman?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Roloff and I had a discussion today on this whole situation. I want to just kind of go over why we're going, these three are all tied together, that's why I waited till they were read. Why we're adjusting our ordinance, and are we abiding by state statute, and is there leeway, like the gentleman said, from 10 to 16, or just where are we at with it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to defer a little bit to the staff that have been working on it, Mr. Davis, Ms. Lawrence, and I believe that there is flexibility to amend it from 10. I think the background was we felt that was reasonable enough. This gentleman's providing some additional information. I don't know if the staff was familiar with that, but I think we tried to pick a number knowing that the bulk of the EAA days are 7. So we gave a little room. Mr. Davis, I don't know, or Mr. Burrich, either one of you, if you have any thoughts on that
Off the top of my head, I believe the state statute indicated 10 was the date for local ordinances. Is that correct, Ms. Lawrenson? I don't have the state statute in front of me. Were you looking that up?
The 10-day, the DAT cap requirements kick in 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 10-day requirement for the licensing kicks in for you to get a license from the Department of Agricultural Trade and Consumer Protection for a tourist rooming home license. We picked the 10 days to be consistent with that requirement.
Okay. And Mr. Roloff, we've also been working with the Convention Visitors Bureau, who did a lot of, previously, I know they're working their way out of that, renting homes for citizens, but on the other piece of that, though, is how are we going to notify all the homeowners throughout the city? Are we going to, just put it in the paper, or, I think we need a big, because like I said, I bet you there's and the gentleman said it too, but probably 300 homes maybe throughout the city get rented throughout the year. And some are probably under that VRBO and some of those other vacation sites that you can rent homes and things like that, so.
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough that Ms. Albright from the Convention and Visitors Bureau has been working with us and we've been keeping each other in the loop. And they already have a list of those contact folks over the years, so they know how to approach those people and who we need to target to let them know. And she's going to work very closely with us to get that information out. Similarly, Ms. Larson's been working with, other communities have been using an agreement with Airbnb, and so we're going to enter into an agreement that you'll see eventually to approve an agreement with Airbnb to do exactly what you're suggesting. But it is going to take some doing in terms of promoting it and letting people know about it and understand the responsibilities. This gentleman obviously does some work in that regard. He's aware of it. Appreciate him being engaged with it as well.
Have we also been in talks with EAA so that they're fully aware of this? Because that's really where it comes from more than anything, is EAA rental.
I know they have a housing bureau, and we can certainly work with them as well.
I think we need to reach out to them because, they coordinate a lot of the opportunities, I guess, for people that come. And this year, it looks like, they're going to be commemorating their years in Oshkosh, and so I think it's going to be a big turnout this year, so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Very
Those are my
good.
questions on it.
Deputy Mayor Palmieri.
Thank you, Mayor. I did notice that I received an email from the EAA lodging organizing entity indicating they were no longer going to be coordinating that. I don't know if it's in relation to this or not.
That's the CVB was doing that.
Okay.
But essentially, those Airbnbs and those types have essentially not run them out of business, but really makes it not worthwhile for them to do it anymore. It's a lot of work. There was some money that they made, but I think
It's minimal.
it was minimal, so it wasn't really worth the effort. But since we have that database, or the CVB has that database, they can use that to effectively reach out to those people.
And I guess, Mayor, if I could just follow up a question with Ms. Larson, too. Ms. Larson, do we have any sense of how much leakage that might have been in the past by not collecting on those? Do we have any kind of rough estimates? Wouldn't hold you to a figure.
I wouldn't want to provide an estimate. However, I can tell you the other municipalities that I have spoken with that have done the direct contract with Airbnb have seen a significant increase in their room tax revenue just by doing that direct contract through Airbnb, several thousand. So I wouldn't want to speak specifically on the market in Oshkosh, but I am aware of the benefit in other municipalities.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is ordinance 19-29, authorize the Director of Finance to issue citations. Pam?
No one is registered.
And the last is ordinance 19-30, amend Chapter 30 zoning ordinance to create flood storage district within Section 30-156 of the floodplain overlay district, and Plan Commission recommends approval. Pam?
No one is registered.
Okay, thank you. We have three new resolutions. The first is Resolution 19-31, approve city manager 2018 performance evaluation and 2019 compensation. Pam, did anyone register to speak to this?
No one is registered.
Thank you. I'll bring it back to the council for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
A discussion? Pam, would you please take the roll?
Herman.
Aye.
Allison Osby.
Aye.
Palmieri.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Krause.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Carried 6.
Next is Resolution 19-32, support to provide free transit service to students in the Oshkosh Area School District. This was submitted by Councilmember Pech, and he is on his way here. Councilmember Krause.
I want to make a motion to lay this over till after our meeting with the Oshkosh Area School Board, so we can discuss the possibilities with them.
I'd second that.
Is there one for the public that would like to speak to that?
No one was
Signed?
registered.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to lay this over. Any discussion? Councilmember Herman.
I'm going to support the lay it over. One, Councilmember Peck is not here currently, and he's the one that authorized the resolution, so I think it's appropriate. But I agree. Council's not even had this discussion or any real discussion on this one at this point. And with us setting up a meeting with the school district fairly soon, I agree. I think we should wait for it.
Councilmember Allison Osby.
Thank you, Mayor. I would concur with the comments that were made by Councilmember Krause as well as Councilmember Herman. Definitely, I think we should lay it over.
If there's no further discussion, would you please take the roll?
Herman?
Aye.
Allison Osby?
Aye.
Palmieri?
Aye.
Mugrower?
Aye.
Krause?
Aye.
Cummings?
Aye.
Carried 6.
Resolution 19-33, approve change order number 2 for Public Works contract number 17-03, Mary Jewel Lift Station and Park Shelter, $13,758.10. Pam?
No one is registered.
Bring it back to the council for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Would you please take the roll?
Herman?
Aye.
Allison Osby?
Aye.
Palmieri?
Aye.
Mugrower?
Aye.
Krause?
Aye.
Cummings?
Aye.
Carried 6.
Next, we have council discussion, direction to city manager, and future agenda items. There are only 2 items. One is the City Hall, A is City Hall and Parks Facility Workshop, January 16, 2019 at 5:30 PM.
Next Wednesday, so our goal is to have a 2-hour work session, so you should be out of here by 7:30.
Okay, thank you. Next is the police staffing study. That is scheduled for January 22nd, 2019. Time to be determined. That's a council meeting night, so.
Chief Smith indicated that he will be able to have his presentation complete in 43 minutes. So he said 43, not 45. He said 43. So I assume there's at least 1 or 2 questions at least built in, or assume that there'll be some time for questions to have a 5:50 departure time.
Do we have an official timer to keep them to the 43?
I think we can do, to hold them to that 43, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
But he was suggesting 5 PM should be sufficient.
Okay.
We laid it over.
Yep.
If I may, I was in the parking lot when that was being discussed. I would respectfully request the council to give deference and basically move to rescind the layover and allow me to speak to the issue. This was less than 5 minutes ago, not even 5 minutes.
It's going to get voted down tonight if you don't lay it over.
You sure?
Yeah.
You have a crystal ball?
I don't, but I'm just saying it's, did we have any discussion with the school board or school system?
Well, first of all, we would need a motion to rescind the vote, correct?
It would be a motion to reconsider,
So we need a motion to reconsider.
and because you all voted in favor of it, everyone was on the prevailing side, so anyone could make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Can I?
It requires a second.
Second.
And then we need we need you to take the roll.
Beck?
Aye.
Herman?
No.
Allison Osby?
Aye.
Palmieri?
No.
Mugrower?
Nope.
Krause?
No.
Cummings?
Aye.
Lost 3-4.
Okay, next we have the meeting with the Oshkosh Area School District. We have to pick a time and place.
What I was going to suggest to the council is, because we have a 5th Tuesday, suggest either the 5th Tuesday or the 5th Wednesday of January, which would be January 29th or 30th. Diane has been in contact with Dr. Fitzgerald's
Cartwright?
administrative
Cartwright.
assistant. Cartwright, excuse me. Dr. Cartwright's administrative assistant, and they've been going back and forth on availability. So I'm not sure if either of those dates work for council members, but if you could take a look ahead, we'd be happy to schedule it if need be. Right now, there are no meetings scheduled, although there may be a regular meeting for the school district on the 30th. Maybe we could do it on the, at 5 o'clock or something like that. But we're going back and forth trying to pick a date. So are either of those dates workable for council members?
What were the dates again, Mark?
Tuesday, the 29th of January, or Wednesday, the 30th?
It's good for me.
I'm good both evenings.
Okay,
early evening.
we'll work, and as soon as we have a date and time confirmed, we'll let you know. In terms of topics.
Excuse me, just a minute. I'm not available on the 29th if council's okay with the 30th.
I'll be honest, Mark, that week is, in general, is tough for me. I don't know if we can put it out to the first week of February. I can see what I can do if you still choose either the Tuesday or the Wednesday, 29th or 30th. I could try to make some changes.
Okay. We'll keep it all, we'll take all that under, so the other issue is, what topics would you like to discuss? The mayor previously talked with me. He's had the idea about a youth council. We've gotten some information from some other communities, wanted to discuss it with the school district, so he'd asked that item be on the agenda. The item that the council just laid over, certainly that topic for discussion. Is there anything else that the council would like to add to the agenda to bring up?
Deputy Mayor Palmieri.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have a couple of members from the community who asked about a subtopic, although they didn't specify, of some of the child poverty issues and within the school district, within the city. That being a very broad topic would probably need to be narrowed down. So depending upon whether or not council wants to address that on the agenda. And we're hosting this time, right?
It is our turn. That was acknowledged, so. Yeah. But I can add that if you've got any more information. We have another council meeting before this, so if anybody has any more ideas, let us know. It's really just more about letting everybody have a good idea of what is generally going to be talked about.
Would it be possible to have a closed session after the next meeting with the school board to discuss these?
Workshop.
Oh, there's a workshop after that one. Okay.
It's not a closed session.
Yeah, this just, the workshop. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, a council workshop specific to this? That's certainly up to council. We could certainly make myself available if that was the case.
I would suggest with the meeting with the school board, from past experience, that we limit the topics to maybe no more than 4.
Okay.
We've got, about an hour? Give or
That's
take.
generally how
And
long
I
it's
think we have
taking
found
place.
that we never really cover everything on the agenda anyway, so I wouldn't go beyond 4.
So is there an interest, based on what Councilmember Krause said, is there an interest in doing a workshop immediately afterwards, or do you want to have that's certainly up to the council?
It was just an idea. I mean,
Okay.
Whatever, I'll come to anything.
Okay, well then we'll get information for you based on our conversations with Dr. Cartwright's office. Okay, those are all. Oh, and Mayor, you'd ask something, a little update on the food and toy drive on the 22nd as well, so we'll add that to the agenda.
Correct.
Those are all the items.
Okay. This is a second opportunity for citizens to address the council. Pam, did anyone register?
No one is registered.
Okay, thank you. Now we'd move to council member announcements, and Councilmember Peck.
I'll direct this to city attorney. Hypothetically, would something that would a citizen be able to speak to something that was on this evening's agenda that was laid over at this point? Hypothetically.
No, because your rules say that you speak to items on the agenda when they're called.
Okay.
Could we vote on to allow them to let them speak?
Yep.
What's your
Yeah, you
pleasure?
can always vary your rules.
I would just like to suggest to allow them to speak if they're here. Make a motion for that.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Would you please take the roll?
Peck.
Aye.
Herman.
Aye.
Allison Hosby.
Aye.
Palmieri.
Aye.
Mugrower.
Aye.
Krause.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Carried 7.
Okay. Would I approach there, speak from there, or may I do it from here?
As a
feel if you're
citizen.
Okay.
you should be there.
Citizen.
Tom Peck Jr., 1275 West Smith. My parents always taught me to don't just tell me I have a problem or tell someone that they have a problem. If you do that, you either offer a solution or you work together for a solution. The proposal I brought forward this evening was to address an issue that has been raised by several people within this community. And it is a community-wide issue. There have been several council members who have made comments related to why this can't be, why we can't fund a program such as this. There are people on the school district who want to provide free bus transportation to all students of the Oshkosh Area School District. What was offered this evening was a public-private partnership, similar to what we've done with Go EDC, Go HNI, where the city would participate in a program to provide subsidized transportation for the Oshkosh Area School District to address a need that has been brought forward. The city, I had hoped, would be the first partner to come to the table without this has been discussed with the school district. It has been discussed, this whole issue's been discussed, but it's gone nowhere because no one has truly taken the lead. So I took it upon myself to take the lead and to suggest a program where the city of Oshkosh would commit up to $12,500 in a matching grant, 50 cents paid 50 cents on every dollar of private money raised. The cost of the program has been estimated at $50,000. If indeed this is a community-wide issue, then it should be solved by the city, by the school district, and the community. We've entered into agreements such as this previously with the special needs playground at South Park, where the city committed funding, grant funding, that would only be paid out when private monies was raised. That was the proposal. We could have had a discussion on it tonight. You could have discussed it tonight had it been allowed to come back onto the table. That was what was proposed. I find the decision that was made rather short-sighted, especially given the fact that within moments of the decision that was made, I was back in this chamber. So that's what it was all about, and that's why I offered it. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move to council member announcements and statements. The first is a rental housing advisory board update. Deputy Mayor Palmieri.
Thank you, Mayor. Last fall, I reported to council that I would be, as the liaison for the Rental Housing Advisory Board, giving a report to council and the public on the strategic plan, action planning that that board and commission put together. And so I just want to give you have these in your packets, just a brief update that there are a little over a dozen here items that they intend to work on. Now, some of these have already been initiated, and there was a little bit of a sidetrack, if you will, with some legislative changes, some statutory changes that have been focused on. And this is not necessarily, while this has been approved by the Rental Housing Advisory Board, it may not be the final version, as we have something else with regard to short-term rentals that they'll be discussing on their future agendas. So if I could just share with you, under educational materials, there's an intent to develop a tenant's bill of rights, some educational materials on rent abatement, social media materials, tenant association brochure. That would be giving some education on how one might start a tenant association. Under training programs, things relative to inspection, certification, landlord trading, code compliance, and landlord-tenant rights. There's a little bit of overlap here because there are certain segments that there we're discussing would be under each of these subheadings. And then the Rent Smart 2018, a continuation of that for housing training. Under outreach, the intent is to go out into the farmers market additionally this year. That is the summer farmers market, perhaps some in the winter, and the state of the city, as well as apartment association, the Winnebago County Apartment Association. So there are a handful of rental housing policy or code changes that they may also be working on. Residency requirements for landlords and or property managers, mobile home parks, landlord-tenant mediation opportunities, topics such as service animals and protected class code updates, as well as the tenant association workshop. So that's what was promised, and I deliver that to you as an update to their action planning and strategic planning for 2019.
Thank you. Do you feel that this board is making progress?
Absolutely. As you will see under our earlier new ordinances, 1925, if you go into the detail in the packet, this Rental Housing Advisory Board spent a significant amount of time, as Councilmember Mugrauer could attest in his role as a citizen on that board. A significant amount of time was put into working with staff and considering the enhancement and stabilization zones that relate to the rental registration as well as inspection program, among other things.
Could we put this on the city website?
Absolutely.
If there are no further questions or any questions of Deputy Mayor Palmieri, we'll move on to mascots and movie-free event. Councilmember Herman.
Thank you, Mayor. The Oshkosh Parks Department is sponsoring with the Oshkosh Senior Center mascots and movies. It's a free admission. They are accepting donations. It's going to be held at the Oshkosh Senior Center North Building 2 times. It's going to be January 25th and February 23rd. Mascots can meet and greet, and kids can do craft activities from 5:30 to 6:30, and then the movie begins promptly at 6:30. They're requesting grandparents to bring their grandkids, or parents bring your kids. Wear your PJs, bring your favorite blanket, a chair, beanbag, and get cozy for this free fun event. The information I got, one of the mascots looks like it'll be the A&W root beer mascot, and they're showing you the clothing that they would like the kids to wear for that event. So Again, it's mascots and movies. The first one is January 25th. And Meet the Mascots, 5:30 to 6:30, and the movie begins at 6:30 in the Senior Center North Building. Sounds like a great event, so hopefully a lot of parents and grandparents will bring their kids out. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, good. And now we move to city manager announcements and statements. Mr. Roloff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your packet is an Oshkosh Corporation update with where things are going, even though infrastructure construction is on hiatus for the winter. Construction at the building itself continues, and we're getting ready to plan for construction as soon as weather allows for us to get Keller extended. And obviously, council earlier this evening started the process to do the official mapping for the expanded right-of-way along North Keller. Fourth quarter strategic plan is in your packet, the update. This is the the fourth quarter. It's also the year end and actually the end of the 2-year cycle for our 2017 and 18 strategic plan. And I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you might have. Courtney Jenks is here as well to who hounds department heads to make sure they get all the reports in. But page 2, just the overall summary. Nearly 98% of all of our tasks were either on track because either they're ongoing type of issues or were completed. Full 27% were completed. The on-track ones were things that are generally an ongoing effort. So I'm very pleased with the progress we made. There's really 2 items that are in there that were not completed, and some of those were conscious efforts over the course of the strategic plan. We consciously changed course on those things. So I'm very pleased with the results of that. You can see that with all of our goals, whether it's economic development, public safety, that departments took those very seriously and went through to identify ways in which we can achieve those goals. Happy to answer any questions you might have. If you can't think of them now, don't be shy about asking us some other time, either Ms. Jenks or I or any of the department heads who it might be applicable to. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Councilmember Mugarara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the one thing that just jumps out at me is it's the only one on here that shows yellow with some disruption, objective 3.9. Increase local engagement with state legislators to increase local control. I think the last time council met with local legislators was roughly 2 years ago. And now that the new class has been sworn in yesterday or recently, it may be time to meet with those local legislators again to discuss some of those issues.
And that's really up to council. We can certainly do it. The last time was kind of a rough meeting. So certainly happy to schedule that if council would like us to do that. But that's, thanks for pointing it out.
It was a very nasty meeting. Councilmember Pech.
Related to Mr. Mugerhauer's comment, I believe that, to paraphrase The Who, I think meet your new boss the same as your old boss, related to the legislative group. It's the same group of characters, so be interesting to see what they have to say.
The cast has not changed.
But if council would like me to schedule something.
I think we should reach out.
I think there was an outreach, correct, a short time ago, and we just couldn't get things scheduled.
That may have been it. I'd be happy to do that. And, sounds like that's a consensus.
Yeah.
So
something in the first quarter-ish of the year, maybe.
Yeah, I think it would be a good gesture on our part to reach out. Maybe at the end of the day, it's the same as it was a couple years ago, but maybe not. But we should take the responsibility and the initiative to reach out in a good faith effort and want to work and collaborate with those that represent our area.
If memory serves me, we've done this usually in mornings.
generally, a Monday or Friday's best because that's when the legislators are here in town. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they tend to be more in Madison, so they generally try to get Monday or Friday. So that's what I'll focus on to try to get that going. I think we tried to do field visits so they could see some of our facilities. We've done the museum.
We have at the Central Garage.
Central
Public
Garage.
Works Red. So we'll try to find a location where we can kind of show off some of our facilities and educate them on some of the things that we're doing.
And if I remember correctly, I think morning worked better for them because when they are in town, they do have family things in the evening that they would like to attend. That's how it was a few years ago, so
I think
I'm
that's
willing
the-
to work with whatever they can do.
Good. I appreciate that feedback. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Palmieri, did you have another question, or I thought I saw, okay, it must have been one of these. Okay. Well, very pleased with the Invisio software's really helped us, and I do want to give Courtney a lot of kudos for patiently but forcefully. Don't be fooled. She can get her work done. To get the departments to get that out there. And then, of course, you have the presentation from Chief Smith and the group that worked on KPIs. These are all tying together, and Invisio, the software that we're working with, will be able to get us to get this information out there. So I think the quarterly reports will be more timely. Courtney was bound and determined to get this to you on the first meeting of the year. So she got it done in 8 days, so really appreciate that effort that she and all the departments put forth. And with that, that's all I have,
All
Mr.
right,
Mayor.
at this point, I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor, who would like to make a motion to go into closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion, the council may convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.851C of the Wisconsin State Statutes to discuss the performance evaluation regarding the city manager and employee over which the common council has jurisdiction and exercises responsibility.
I'd ask for a second.
Second.
Would you please take the roll?
Pech.
Aye.
Herman.
Aye.
Allison Osby.
Aye.
Palmieri.
Aye.
Oberauer.
Aye.
Krause.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Carried 7.
I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.